Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so it's time to talk about Electrode. Now, Electrode has received an errata. What an errata is, for those of you that are newer to the game, what it means is that the Pokemon card will now be read differently. So we now need to read it differently to how it's actually printed. To give you an example, Pokemon Catcher used to just work like Lysander. Used to allow you to grab your opponent's Pokemon off the bench and drag it into the active. It then received an errata, which meant that even though it read, take your opponent's Pokemon, put it in the active, it meant flip a coin. If heads, you may do so. And you'll notice that on newer versions of Pokemon Catcher, it's printed with flip a coin. If heads, blah, blah, blah. So, erratas basically tell us how to read a card if it's too powerful or mistranslated, which is more often the case. Now, the weird thing about Electrode is that Electrode actually reads the same as it should in Japan. So it's actually received a different effect. And it's only a little one, but it could change a little bit. So we used to have the old Electrode, and what the old Electrode did was you get to knock out Electrode, and of course knocking it out gives your opponent a prize, and attach it as a special energy to one of your lightning Pokemon. And while it was attached to a lightning Pokemon, it provided 2 lightning energy. And I've talked in the past about how this could be used as a nice little partner for Raikou, and how this would help to power up Raikou much more quickly. 1 energy plus Electrode equals 3 lightning energy on a Raikou. Now the wording has now changed a little bit. It now reads, this card provides 2 lightning energy only while the card is attached to a Pokemon. The difference is then that Electrode will provide 2 lightning energy when it is attached to any Pokemon, not just a lightning Pokemon. Now, this doesn't make a huge difference because, of course, you have got to attach it to a lightning Pokemon first, but it means that if you change the Pokemon into a different type, or you move the energy from a lightning Pokemon to a non-lightning Pokemon, then it wouldn't do nothing, and it would do nothing under the previous wording. Now, there are a couple of things for which this might actually be a little bit important. Give you a couple of examples. Multi-switch. Now, I've done a video about multi-switch. It's a new item card that allows you to move a special energy from one Pokemon to another. So now, you would be able to use multi-switch to use Electrode from your Raikou onto another Pokemon, I don't know, something like a Snorlax, for instance, who has a very high energy cost but very good attack, and you would then be able to use it as 2 lightning energy on Snorlax. Now, this seems a little bit clunky. This is like using a Max Elixir onto a basic Pokemon, and then using an energy switch to move it onto a non-basic, or using Mega Turbo onto a Mega Evolved Pokemon, and then using energy switch to move it onto a non-Mega Pokemon. But I don't know, the fact that it's 2 energy, maybe this makes it viable, but let's be clear about this. This is a clunky way to accelerate energy. And let's not forget that you still have to give up a prize by knocking out Electrode to do this. Now, another idea I had here was using Ninja Boy. So what you could do is, and a lot of decks will be playing Ninja Boy anyway, making it slightly less clunky than multi-switch. What you can do is you can KO Electrode, attach it to a Raikou as 2 lightning energy, and then you can use Ninja Boy to switch Raikou into another basic Pokemon, something like a Snorlax, for instance, and because of the effect of Ninja Boy, the Electrode would stay attached, and because of the errata, it would continue to provide the energy to Snorlax, even though Snorlax is not a lightning Pokemon. Now, the other idea I had that might actually use this errata is any Pokemon that is both grass and lightning, i.e. could be printed as a grass card or a lightning, and we have one. We've got Vikavolt, which in the game is Bug Lightning, Bug Electric, which means that in the card game it will be Grass Electric. Now, at the moment, we only have an Electric Charjabug and we only have an Electric Vikavolt. But in the future, we may well get a Grass Vikavolt. Now, under the old wording, you attach Electrode to Charjabug. If you then evolved into a Grass Vikavolt, it would have no effect. But now with the errata, you can attach Electrode to a Lightning Charjabug, You can then evolve into a Grass Vikavolt as and when we have one released, which we would imagine we will. After all, we've had both fighting and water Mamoswines. That's right, I inserted a Mamoswine reference. I'm a little bit proud of myself. And then you would still be able to get the effect of Electrode onto the Grass Charger bug. Now, all of these are quite niche scenarios, and I know some of you might have heard this news before, but I like to think I can add a little bit of analysis and some nice presentation to make it worth going through again. So, we've got Multi-Switch, we've got Ninja Boying from an electric to a non-electric Pokemon, and if we ever get a Grass Vikavolt, then we can evolve from a Lightning Charger Bug to a Grass Vikavolt, and we would still get the effect. Niche uses to be sure, ladies and gentlemen, but you need to know this stuff's important. Now, you know the deal, there is a comment section down below. Tell me what you think, tell me if you like my ideas, tell me if you've got some better ones. Although the usual rules apply. Be nice. Make sure you both like this video, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel using the appropriate buttons, and follow me on Twitter if you're not doing so already. I talk about Pokemon quite a bit. The most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.